mutual, and you have contributed so much to what we have done. And obviously, what we're going to talk about tonight is your minute across Paint Canada, and but also you've done so much with us with Acrylic University and doing such a great job with critiquing people's work, and we appreciate you so much.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of fun for me. I really enjoy that.
That's awesome. Okay, well, I'm gonna shout out a few people here, guys. Welcome. I saw so many people coming in, and I just want to go back a little bit. I see some people shouting out from Canada. All right, because Brian's Paint Canada is a great way to celebrate the great country of Canada, and I see a lot of people from all over. Look at this, guys. So welcome. It's really Airdrie. I know that. See, sometimes you got to know where a place is. You probably know where Airdrie is, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I do know where Airdrie is.
Yeah, it's about where it is.
Park there.
Oh, is it really? So, and
from all over, a lot of my American friends too.
Could you do me a favor? Could you explain? Okay, what are we doing tonight? What are we going to? And what is the challenge that you did?
So this was an invitation from Acrylic University to try to construct something that would carry us over the period of the year. So we would have one, every week we would have a challenge. When I agreed to do it, what I thought I would want to do was to try to make it as a series of starts, not complete paintings. I wanted to do it fast, and my goal was to try to free up nervousness, a no fear kind of approach to painting, which is really essential. That's something that you've got to get through in your early years if you're going to grow. You can't be afraid to make bad paintings. So I made 52 bad paintings, and everybody followed along. Some of them I was quite happy with. I would knock them off in half an hour. Other ones not, but that was what it was about. I wanted you to see real life, the real thing, and knowing that at the end of that half hour, I could spend another half hour and turn it into something. But this is how paintings are built. They're built on this structure of a little bit of uncertainty, and you grow, through that and move it into something more refined. And I have watched the submission of so many of the folks in this program on Facebook, and just blown away by the seriousness with which they took this thing, and they seem to be having fun. They tell me that they're learning. That really makes me happy. But they're taking it and they're adding their own personality, which is what I really wanted. I didn't want you to copy me. I want you to copy the energy that I put into it and try to turn that into you. Try to add some of that to your own bag of tricks, if you like. And some of the work, and I've seen some that consistently, almost every week, I see the new ones coming out. I can just see the change over the year in some of these individuals. And it's very gratifying for me. I'm really enjoying watching this.
Yeah, we were talking about this. So, Brian, thank you for being here. It's fun to celebrate. And I know that probably some of the people who are here with us have already been participating in your challenge throughout 2025. Mm-hmm. And so right now we're going to be inviting people in to join you on this Paint Canada challenge for 2026. So we're going to, what this is going to look like, guys, is we're going to play the video from a couple of his paintings. And like he said, I think that's one of the things about his challenge in particular is that if you know Brian, he paints with incredible, what he said, gusto and with energy. And these paintings they're loose and they're bold and they're courageous. And they're of these incredible scenes from Canada and from Brian's travels, but what's really neat is they're an invitation to you to be courageous in a lot of ways. And so, anyways, we're going to play a couple of them, but we're not going to play the audio from them. We're just going to stay and talk. So if you're wondering if you were actually participating in the challenge, yes, you would get more of Brian's thoughts about that particular painting. We'll explain a little bit more as we go, but I just wanted to to give you that as a heads up.
Great.
So I will add this in now, and we're going to just have fun and carry on the conversation. So if you guys have questions, make sure you ask. We'll try to answer as many of the questions as we possibly can, you guys.
Yeah.
So
look at
Brian,
that. Look at that reference. That's a really nice reference. That's Rocky Mountain National Park in Manitoba, I think. But that's a sweetheart. That could be Ontario. I could stick a mountain behind that thing and make it in Alberta or BC. That's got really nice bones, nice vertical, nice lead line coming in with that water. Nice warm colors. Boy, that's a nice one. I'd forgotten about that. So what I'm doing here is this thing starting off. I'm talking to you about what I'm doing, and so I have chosen a portion of this reference image and saying we're going to focus on that. And now I'm sketching it in, and I usually start my sketches in with a water-soluble pencil because it's changeable. I'm not committed to anything. And you see my drawing is straight line and it's rigid wrist, tight wrist, and just bang, 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 simplification as much as I can. So I'll fill it in, and it'll be crude. It won't look like the reference necessarily, but I'll pick the bones of the reference that I think would make it the strength of the piece. And this has been. I started to break free of being rigid about 7 or 8 years point when I switched from oils into acrylic. And being free and just letting go was the hardest thing for me to do. And once I overcame my fear and could let go, then I enjoyed it more, and I had much more commercial success with it. And that's what I'm hoping that people are getting out of this program. And just break free, just have fun with it. Fun with control, of course. So I just still sketching this in. Water soluble. I mean, that's real time. So what was that? A few minutes, 5 minutes at the most of my 30 minutes. So I got time to spare. But now I take acrylic mark. So this is just acrylic paint in a marker format, and I commit to it. The first water soluble stuff is just a rough plan. And now I'm saying, okay, that's good enough. Let's get this done. And I'm going to make my shapes now with something more permanent with it. This is how I create almost all my paintings. Even in oil, I do the same thing. So just filling it in.
Nice.
Brian, yeah, well, I was going to ask you something. Now, I believe you told me last year when we were talking about this that most of these photographs.
Hey, Bucky, great job, great success.
Is that correct?
I'm losing your audio there.
Oh, sorry. I was wondering, did you say that that your wife took most of these photos?
Yeah. And this program I did in the sort of the last year of my wife's cancer with it. So it was a hard thing, but it was wonderful diversion for me to have something like this that distracted me from the daily problem with that. So yeah. We would drive across the country in our RV. Our kids were out in Ontario, and we had moved to Vancouver Island. We would go back and forth twice a year, and she'd just go bang, 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 bang. At the end of the day, I had 500 images I had to sort through every day. She was just a crazy photographer, but she made some really nice shots. She had a really, really good soul, for the whole thing and what would be interesting in that. So yeah, this is Kathy. So the painting, I mean, the drawing in means the water soluble pencil, then the commitment with the marker, and now with the paint. And each of these things are just simply drawing tools. And now I'm drawing with big shapes and just adding more to it. I always put the darks in first, as most of us would do, and usually they're transparent. You can see my palette there. I'm not sure which blue that is. It looks like it could be a phthalo blue with a little green. I'm not sure. And I just bang them in bold. That's an inch and a quarter brush. It's a legato from Opus in in British Columbia. A medium stiffness, very very rigid. Sorry, a very straight edged flat brush. I really like them. They're really nice. But it just bang it in. It was just shape. This shape, not a tree, just a blue shape. If you think it's a tree when we're done, wait a minute. But it doesn't have to be.
Brian, you put about your art journey last year, right? I just would love to hear you do a quick recap of when did you get into art?
So, this comes back to my wife again. I developed a cancer in about the middle of '60s, and we retired out to Vancouver Island, and we went out there to be physical, and I couldn't be physical with prostate cancer. It slowed me down. And she got tired of me moaning about it, and so she took me to a drawing on the right side of the brain class, and I loved it. And I took a few little classes locally from that, and really quite enjoyed it. And then we came back to Ontario to visit family. Our sons are back here, and I went to the Kleinberg Museum. Art gallery, where it's hosted by the Group of Seven series is in there, the Canadian painters from the last century. And I came out, and it just blew me away. It totally changed the direction of my life. I'm looking for something to do now, and I'm traveling across the country. I was a kayak guide, I was a ski instructor, I was outside, and I thought, I'm going to try to do this. And so I went from that, and I put on my hat. I'm going to learn how to paint hat, and said this is going to be my focus now. I'm in late '60s now, or mid '60s, and this is wonderful way to finish off the big the big game. And so I took a bunch of very detailed classes with Virtual Art Academy, and it's still involved, and now it's a very digital program. It taught me fundamentals. I spent a whole year studying their program. And then I went to the Jeffrey Waltz Atelier in Encinitas, California, to try to learn from the artists. I mean, if I wanted to be a plumber, I would work with plumbers. I wanted to be a painter. I didn't want to go to school anymore. And so I wanted to be with painters. So I went to this atelier, and I spent 6 months full time, 7 days a week there, and they beat the heck out of me, and it was absolutely wonderful. So I developed a marriage of practicality and theoretical, coming together with the fundamentals. But it was all oil. It was all oil back then. They laughed at acrylics until I had to go into that world, and I'm still doing oils, but I transitioned out of that. I didn't enjoy it as much as the freedom that I got at the time. I like the playfulness, and I am not good painting in a straight line. I know what I want, and I'm going to paint. That I have to invent as I go along. Brush down, put a color down, and I respond to that with something else. So it's kind of a silly way to paint, but it's what I enjoy doing. Anyhow, my training back then was all live. It was plein air. It was live models. It was a lot of figurative, a lot of portrait, and skill based. And I mean, and that's what I encourage anybody, if they're serious about this, to focus on skills, on fundamentals, and it'll come. It'll come. So what I'm doing now, you can see I'm just taking a loaded brush and just dragging it over top. So I'm called a layerer. I layer one over the top, and I just play with them until it comes up to where I want it to be. And I work towards something and decide, what, I'm there when I've had enough. And it's only from fooling around that I can do
it. So what got you from being kind of in those detail oriented kind of classes, and how did it come that you paint like this now? What was that transition like?
It takes time, and I'm now trying to change it again. I'm not using that brush anymore. I'm using different brushes. I'm taking classes with Eric Jameson and Jacobson and others, and just trying to. I mean, I'm not a kid anymore, and so I just want to take advantage of the time that I've got left and the energy I've got left, and just invent and play and see where this whole thing can take me. But the main thing, because my background is science and I'm fairly technical, but the main comes back to my wife again. Um, I would paint in my studio in the basement and bring them up to my living room, and I would sit there and look at them and have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine or something, and just criticize them. And she participated in that criticism often. I couldn't stop her. She was always on my case. And one day I brought a couple up. I think they were 14, 18, something like that. And they were clearly not finished. I knew I had to do a whole bunch more detail. I brought them up and she said, don't touch these things. Try just leaving it alone like it is, and see what happens. I took them to the gallery I was in, and they both sold within a week. And that gave me some sense. And it's not about the money. It's a sense of what's acceptable, like what people enjoy. And that was the first step to freeing myself up. And I just kept pushing it ever since then, with it. So every painting's an experiment, every painting's a game, and whatever happens, happens. What I really like about the acrylics is that I can play with it, I can set it aside, I can come back at it in a few days or a week and totally change it if I want to. And that freedom is terrific. And I know you came with oils to some extent too, but not in the immediacy that you came with acrylic. So all of this now, we've done only the one brush, so it's on its edge, it's on its corner, it's doing little things, play, little spots. I don't know if you remember the artist Robert Genn, wonderful acrylic painter, one of the masters in Canadian art. But he got me to put all these little dots in my painting. I call them Genn dots. And they really had something. You get just a plain old field and you stick a few dark dots in it and you think, oh, what's that? And it starts to look more real. So I have Genn dots everywhere in my work.
Did you take workshops with him then?
I was privileged to take the last workshop that he did in what was the island in BC, just off of Campbell River. I took his last workshop and he was dying. His daughter was there as well. But he worked with us until 10:30 at night. Amazing man. Yeah, he was amazing.
That's amazing.
It was a great privilege to have spent time with him.
Yeah. I took one workshop with him probably in 2002 or 2003. So I was thankful to have been able to do that as well. But man, that's pretty amazing that you were able to get in on that very last workshop. That's incredible.
I had 3 workshops with him in total. And if anybody in the audience does not know who Robert Genn, and it's often called Genn, some people, but Genn, you should look him up. If you're an acrylic painter, Genn's work, it's something worth spending a little time on. He's a great guy. He was one of the first workshops that I took, and I had done a bunch of paintings. We were all supposed to bring paintings to the workshop, and he would critique them. So I brought a couple of paintings to the workshop, and there was some really people that have gone on to be substantive artists in British Columbia at this workshop. I was just, wow. I'm just this dumb old guy, and it was fun to be with them. But he looked at my work and said, "You're crazy. You're working way too hard. There's way too much information, way too much detail. Like, just chill out." It was really fun to hear him talk like that. He was a great guy.
Yeah, he certainly was, and very, very fun to, like you said, fun to listen to, fun to read. He wrote so prolifically, and his daughter also, like you said, I've never met Sarah, but I've seen, and she seems like just an amazing woman.
Yeah, I just reread Now, I'm looking for a new me. And one of the ways I'm looking for a new me is to go back and look at some of the stuff that I started with. And so I reread his books just recently. And his story is a wonderful story. And how he ever managed to do everything he did. It just boggles my mind. A little bit interesting. So now
okay, I've got a question here.
Yeah.
I've got a question. Made you decide on the green background?
On the green background, it's not a decision. It's just a green background. In other words, I fool around. I don't care. I do not like to paint on white, and sometimes I'll paint on a background that I'll let show through, and an underpainting that'll pop through. I mean, you see a lot of what Jeff what a lot of different artists will do with it. With Robert Gann, he would paint on different backgrounds. I put it there, and sometimes I'll let it pop through, but I don't have to let it pop through. But if it's not there, I can't let it pop through. So it's one of those things. And I could do the next one on black. I could do it on red. I could do it on different kinds of things, and be really happy with that. I like color with it. That's not much of an answer, sorry, but it's not done with as much logic as it is with a playfulness invention. And I paint a lot in series, so I might do this. This is real. I forgot how nice this reference is, but I could see myself doing 3 or 4 of this guy, and making each of them different with a different background. You see, there's a little bit of orange there. That's really sweet. It's a bit of a magenta orange in front of those dark trees. That could be a really nice underpainting, letting that pop through.
Yeah, I think I'm the same way. I don't necessarily think that much about the color that I paint on, but I like the interest that you get from different choices, right?
Yeah.
And it's like it's a different feel every time you paint on a different color.
And that to me is important, Jed. I mean, you often paint on black, and I've seen a lot of years where the red will pop through and so on. I couldn't paint if everyone, if it was mechanical, the same old thing. If it's not an adventure, if it's not an experiment, I have no interest in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too.
I mean, that's what growth is about too.
Okay, let's see. I think I might see a couple questions here. Well, I see somebody, Dana says, I got Robert Gann's email letters for years. And then Sarah continued that.
Yeah, and then there's a book where he's published a lot of those, and they're wonderful. I mean, he was really great on the head game, which I focus on a lot of my classes, because that was huge for me and huge for a lot of people. This is hard. You know, I've had a pretty successful career. I've done a lot of interesting things, but nothing has been as difficult as learning how to paint. It's a challenge, and the head game is really important, and Gann was wonderful at that. You see, this is all straight edge stuff, right? And this is how I will often bang it in. So even today, when I'm trying to do different things, I would start like this, and then I would move to other brushes. But there's no time in this 30-minute to do that. So it's just these big straight edge brushes, and just fooling around, just trying. There's a question I've just seen here about Jeff Watt's atelier. Mountain Spirit is asked about Jeff Watt's atelier. Does he think about the New Masters Academy? Yeah, I've done courses with the New Masters Academy. I've taken so many courses. I mean, I love them. Working with these rock stars back then, and I'm just a little old man, and just trying to see if I could do something. But the Watts Atelier, they've got online courses as well as on-site courses, and it's just a wonderful group of people down there. Just, I mean, I was in my mid-60s, and most of my instructors were in their 20s. So I was the odd horse out, and they were just wonderful to me. They beat me up pretty badly, but they were wonderful.
That's funny. So I have a couple questions here. One is about and the question is your brush a sable brush?
No, it's a synthetic. It'd be a nylon. There's nothing special about it except it's a flat. It's got the width that I like, and it holds it. I don't even see it, but look at that wonderful edge on it. That brush is probably 7 or 8 years old. You know, it's an Indian made brush, sold by Opus in Vancouver, and you can get lots of companies make similar brushes. The ones that you use, you support. Who's that?
I like the Aspen, Princeton Aspen.
Yeah, so the Princeton, I really like the Princeton brushes as well. They each talk a different language, and it's important to learn how those things do. You know, you create the discussion, if you like, with the use of your brushes. It's really important to play with different ones. And I have a bad habit of going start to finish with one brush, and I'm trying to get away from that. Yeah, it's good in some respects. You learn how to make the brush dance, but it's not ideal.
So I don't know if you could remember, but Barbara asked, what are the colors that are in your, I guess I would think the plastic box that you have there.
Yeah, okay. So bottom left, it looks like the bottom left is two titanium whites. And then it looks like I move into an Indian yellow, that darker yellow. And then it looks like a cad yellow medium maybe, and a cad yellow light. And then I don't know if that's an orange or a cad red light, and then coming down to a different, cooler red. And then maybe a phthalo turquoise below that. And then black, I always work with black. And a couple of blues, probably an ultramarine and cerulean maybe, and a dioxazine purple at the top on the right. And I could put out, I really enjoyed hitting a core of colors like that, but I'll also put out, I'll look at a reference and say, wow, this would be really fun to have some magenta into the scene or whatever. And so I'll put out little dabs, little pools of paint, and they'll be the specific, special just for that particular painting. So I like color. I like plenty. I know Jeff is Jed's a little more conservative with your colors. You keep it fairly contained, and I don't. So we have a different philosophy to that. I know you can almost, but I like to play.
Oh, I like to play too. It's all you know, I guess it depends on which painting, right? Because
yeah.
But I love, in fact, I used to be more experimental probably with color, like when I first started out. And at some point I did probably tighten it in a little bit. But then every once in a while I'll look back and I'll see an old painting and I'll think, oh, that was really fun. And I'll kind of spread out a little bit more with the colors. But I love what you do.
I go through all of them. I'll go down to just the basic 3 or 4 is just simply the core of color, and I'll paint like that for a month or two, and then I get bored, and so I got to add this, and I'll start adding that. And then I add a whole bunch. Just go all over the place.
Yeah. It's, again, part of it is like I think it's to me related to staying energized with the work, right? And if I get bored with the process, it makes me less interested in it. So I like to change things up just for the sake of, you know, having something new to play around with and experiment with.
Yeah,
it seems like that you do.
If you get bored, you're done. Like, it's not. If I had to paint, I don't think I could do it. I love to paint, but if I had to paint, I think it would be hard. That's just like I just finishing some commissions, and I don't like doing commissions. That goes into the have to paint category. And you lay awake at night after, and they're going to be happy, and I just like to do what I like to do, and if anybody likes it, that's wonderful. And I just keep playing with the sky, right? I don't know what I want. I just keep playing with it. And so that's me. It's try something. Bob Genn used to say, commit and correct. Commit to something, give it a try, and then change it, correct it. And I really am a big believer in that.
Yeah. So one of the things you guys, Brian just said that he likes to paint, kind of what he wants to, and not being, challenged, like too many things that say like you have to do this. And that's why this is such a special thing, is because he had, quote unquote, had to paint 52 paintings for this challenge, which, hey, no matter how you look at it, that's a lot of work. And so, Brian, thank you for that, because I think what people get when they join your Paint Canada challenge is they're getting your, like, you are such an authentic person, and I love how you point people in a direction. You open the kind of the doors up to say, hey, you don't have to be stuck with a little brush. You can be bold, and you're not afraid to try something. Or like you just said, like, I'm just working on the sky. This is the third time you've changed the sky, or, and people need to see that art is not always just a linear, from point A to point B. Like, there's a journey involved in these paintings. And I love how you allow people into that process in this challenge.
See how we've got mountains in the background now? They weren't there before. So this is gone from, this is out in Alberta now. That's all it takes, you do a little thing like that. And so I moved into that mauve purpley just above the yellow. So now I've got complementaries bouncing there a little bit with the sky and the yellow trees. So as much as possible, I try to find complements where I can and play them together. That's always fun.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, it really does work together super well. And it looks like you're getting really close, you guys. This is the first of two paintings that we're going to see come together here. So we're just in the last minute probably of this painting, but it's beautiful.
It's what I call my silly paintings. They're just silly, but they're fun. And I get more commercial interest in these little silly things than I do in my big stuff. It's quite fun. And that's satisfying as well. One of the things I was worried about coming on here tonight is that you were going to ask me to do this again, and I am not doing this again. I am not. That was a lot of work. It was great learning, but that I would not take that on again.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. So, Brian, what would you think about doing another 50? No, I'm just joking. Yeah.
I think Peter would probably say no too. I had to be on Peter's case a lot.
You're saying I do not want to get in the same room with Jed again, because he might try to ask me.
Well, this is an interesting reference. So this is Vancouver Island. This is Chesterman Beach, wonderful beach and wonderful rocks off of the shorelines. I've painted this thing many times, big ones, small ones, and played with colors, all sorts of different invention in colors onto these shapes. And I really have had fun with that. You find some references that just speak to you, and it speaks in a way that you can do a whole bunch of different things with it, and that's fun. You can see me putting out, I see something here, and so I'm adding looks like a green, mid-value green, and yeah, there's um,
Looks kind of like a light blue or something
yeah,
there.
yeah. I forget what color that is. And a mauve. They're usually fairly warm, playful colors. I'll be surprised if I don't put out magenta. No, I guess I didn't. But there's my tool. So now I've got a Princeton brush there as well, which you can see there.
So here's a question. Somebody asked, how long do your paint stay wet in the plastic box?
The plastic box, I mean, I started doing that 7 or 8 years ago, I guess. And it's now just about everybody works with it. Just about everybody that I see in acrylics is working with some form of containment like that, and it works really well. You're closing it up. One of the things that's happening, I'm keeping this open here for you guys, but if I was working with this on my palette, I would be grabbing my paint, putting it on my glass mixing surface, and closing the lid so it doesn't stay open all the time. I close the lid down, and that's been tremendous to be able to do that, especially in plein air. So it will last. Like I paint every day, so it will last quite a little while because I'm always refreshing it. And you got to moisten it, you've got to spritz it a bit. But they work. I recommend them highly. So again, my water soluble pencil, trying to find the big shapes, deciding what I want to include. One thing I didn't show in the last one because of time is I put this sketch in with the water soluble pencil, and then I commit to it with the acrylic marker, and then I spray it, and the water soluble pencil washes off, and I've just got a nice clean acrylic marker the sketch with it.
I love just the way that you can inspire people. I see fun comments here like this. Love your silly fun, Brian. Because I think that a lot of times we get, I don't know if you've experienced this, but I think a lot of times we get a little bit too serious about our artwork.
Yeah. Serious means you're going to be tight, and tight means you're not going to grow. You're gonna be searching after perfection, and that's nice in some respects, but you've got to have growth, and growth only comes by experimentation, being able to be not afraid to make bad paintings and learn from them. And one of the things acrylic does, it lets us make the bad painting and then come right back into it and refine it. Hard edges, straight edges, firm wrist, simplification, simplify, simplify, simplify. Straight line drawing. Well, sometimes.
I like how you do the watercolor, or I can't remember if you call it. Is it a watercolor pencil?
Yeah, watercolor pencil. So I can wash it off if I'm not happy with my initial sketch. I mean, these are just little things, but if I'm doing a complex, larger painting, it can be really, really helpful to have something that I can change that I've not committed to. Until I get into my marker.
I agree. I love the idea of kind of committing in stages, right? It's like I'll do that with different ways. I'll put down something, and then if I need to, I know I can change the color or change something, and then I'm not overly worried about my initial drawing being perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I'm drawing right through to the end. I mean, you can see how many times I changed that last painting with the brush. I'm just constantly drawing, right? The whole thing is drawing. First pencil, then a marker, and then the brush. But each of them is just drawing. Same thing here. Just see how I take and just lay that down on its side, See, but look at the beautiful edge on that. And that's an old brush. Beautiful. Just fill in the shape. So it's all about shapes to start with. Fill it in with the average best guess of value and color. Move around and do all the darks first. And I talk about that during the painting. I'm always, you can't shut me up once I get going.
That's good. It's always good to get inside of an artist's mind.
I'm kind of like somebody else I know. Can't shut them up.
That's right. Okay, I see a question from Suzanne. She says, because acrylic paints dry quickly, when using multiple brushes, do you keep the brushes you are not currently using in water?
Yeah, pretty much. But they in the studio, they're not going to dry that fast, right? And outside, I'll often add golden the slow dry golden, a golden open. I'll add 10 or 20% of that, and that helps out stuff. Inside, I have no problem with it, because I mean, if the brush is going to have moisture in it or paint on it, and if I see it laying around too long, sure, I'll stick it in water. Now I'm using a rubber shaper here. Some people call it a color shaper, and just removing. So both additive and subtractive approaches here. Just shapes, just playing with little fun shapes, and trying to look at that slight value difference that you can see on the purple rocks in the reference. That's incredible, eh? The purple that's in that reference on those rocks.
It's gorgeous. Yeah, it's actually quite striking.
Yeah. It just, you get the right time of day and the shadows. It's really neat. That's a wonderful beach to go to paint if you get a chance. Have you been up to Chesterman? You must have.
I probably have been really close to it and driven past it. Where is it?
So it's just short of Tofino. It's in the village of Tofino boundary.
Okay.
It's where Wicked Inishin is, and so on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been to Tofino one time, and it was right before we moved away from Vancouver. So I actually am due to go back to that side of the island, because I've been back to Vancouver Island several times since then, but always stayed on the east side and just drove up to the north end.
Yeah.
So I need to get back over to the west side.
Yeah. It's pretty special. Getting so busy, it's a little disappointing the way that anything special now is getting out of control with people and cars.
Yeah. What's funny is somebody told me they were saying that that's the same thing in Washington all over, but they said it actually happened in 2020. Because of all the COVID shutdowns, people stopped going to just like far away tourist destinations, and they started looking all around at local, kind of like what can I go visit? Which is, I never had thought about that, but it made a lot of sense to me.
So you can see the difference now. So this is I think it's a kind of a teal, and it's opaque. You can see the difference. You can see the transparency in that almost water thin dioxazine purple that I started with, and now I'm moving on to this other, and again, just layering over, play with it. I really like to leave brushstrokes. I do not want smooth perfection. I'm not a blender. One of the things I have trouble with the people in my workshops is there's always a pathological blender or two, and try to knock that out of them, because you need blending, but you can't do it all the time, everywhere. You need to have a variety. And with acrylic, layering is almost the easiest way to go. So you don't see me blending at all. It's just one over the other. And if I do it well, it has the effect of blending without the actual blending. So now
one thing.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you were saying earlier that you had named the little the little marks in your paintings as Gen marks or something like that.
Gen dots.
Yeah. So what was it? What did he say to you, and how did that, like, how did that change what you were doing before?
No, it just as you progress along in your learning, you start adding little things that you didn't notice in other people's paintings, or you didn't think about yourself. And that was one of them that I would paint them. I would paint these big fields or whatever, even water, painting moraine lake or something like that, and putting little dots on the surface of it, or on the surface of a pasture or side of a mountain. And it just says, hey, there's something going on there. And that when I started doing it, it was a real aha. I like that. It's abstracted, but it adds a different dimension to it. And I mean, he didn't encourage me. I just saw what he was doing and started copying it. And I credit him because I call him Gen Dots. He's the first guy. You look at his paintings and you'll see dots everywhere, little shapes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. And I've noticed that before. Do you remember him saying? I remember a couple things he said. One was he used grays to provide a quiet resting place for the eyes.
Yeah.
And then he talked about something he called color surprise.
Yep. Yeah, and that's a little spot of red or just something that's totally different than anything else in the painting. And it's a grabber spot, and he'll focus that in the center of interest. He was a magician.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would
As
love
are you.
to have spent more time. So these are just strokes, just building up. I'll end up going over top of each of these, no doubt. And I can't remember doing this.
Well, you said you layer a lot, and so, but at the same time, you don't do a lot of blending. So it's pretty direct.
Blending. No blending.
Yeah.
So I drag. So you'll often see me. I do what I call tickling. I'll take the brush and lay that flat and just drag it over, and you'll end up getting an optical mixing where you'll see some of the underpainting affected by what I put thinly on top of it. And that's a Gen thing too. And that's when he realized that a lot of Chinese painters were copying his work, he said, okay, I'm going to get those guys. I'm going to make my painting so complex that they'll never be able to copy them. And that was a lot of that, the dots and dragging over, tickling over, doing a whole bunch of different effects on top of the base painting.
That's interesting. So I did not know that about his. So he had people copying his work, and it kind of made him change what he was doing.
He was one of the big fighters trying to stop copying artist work in BC. He put a lot of effort into that side of the art world. Yeah, he was a great guy.
Okay, a couple questions, both again related to that plastic bin, and I think you probably, I can't remember what you said, but how long does the paint last in there, and then where did you buy it?
So you can get those pins, those from many different places. So I got two behind me that I'm working with. And this one, I think I got on Amazon. You just put a plastic or bead boxes or whatever, or fishing tackle box. This is a fishing tackle box, and it's big and ugly. I mean that's real life, and that's my base. That's my base painting, and I'll add my little daubs of paint on top of that when I want to have a little extra punch. And this is a nice little one. This is a lot smaller. And I'll use this one for plein air. And I'm going to get the camera right. I can take these, right, and this one's almost empty, so I'll just let it dry, and then I'll put it in a bucket of water, and the paint will just pop out. And I just keep using it if I want to refresh them. So Home Depot actually sells some nice ones, you know, for screws and that kind of thing. They're sort of all over the place now. They're very, very common. And it don't have to be anything special. And some of them just have little dividers that you stick inside. And I thought, oh, the paint's going to leak from one to the next. And I would glue it at the bottom. And no, it doesn't happen. So they're just, you know, they're just so easy. And, you know, if I'm traveling, I'll take a couple of extra ones in case I want to change my palette. They've been great. I mean, I can work with my paints here. I'm in the studio. I grab that and go out to in my car, and I've got what I need, you know, for plein air. So same kit, same palette, and it works pretty great. So I'm working on glass. I didn't mention that. So that's an 18 by 24 piece of glass. So I take the paint out of the plastic palette and do my mixing on the glass and decide how much moisture I want to add to it. And that's glass that's treated with a neutral 5 gray. I think it's Liquitex gray underneath it, which is what I like. I used to use Masterton Stay Wet, and I still do a little bit, and I really, really liked them for a number of years. But then I started fooling with this, and with this, the paint is thicker, it's drier, and it works a little differently, and I'm enjoying playing the difference between them. There's so much more moisture when it comes off the Stay Wet.
Brian, you were talking earlier about how you are still evolving and working on, you know, like kind of recreating yourself right now. What is a general thought with the direction that you're going?
I don't know if there's a really good thought. I just want to be different. You know Eric Jacobson?
The name is super familiar, and I'm sure I've seen his work, but I don't.
He was in Oregon, and he's moved to Maine now. He's one of my heroes, and he's just wild. He's just wild. And I like it. It's just fun. It's full of energy. I don't want perfection. I want something that just grabs me emotionally. And I'm trying to play with that. So I'm playing with my brushes. I'm playing with different things and getting some feedback from him. I'll be taking workshops again this summer. I mean, I'm approaching my mid-80s now, so I don't have so much time to try to get good at this. And so I'm trying to knock it off as best I can.
Okay, I'm looking up Eric Jacobson right now to get a visual idea.
Jacobsen, S-E-N.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
That's happened?
Yes.
It's oil, but he also does it in acrylic.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah. So I'm taking a course with him through Tucson Art Academy.
Okay.
In Arizona. And feedback. And I thought I would like to be more like him. So I've been taking the course for a year. I can't be like him. I just can't be like him. But can I add some of that vitality to my paintings? Yeah, maybe. And so I'm just playing with it. But I should be smart enough to realize you can't be like anybody else. You can copy them, but you got to be you. Now I'm trying to change.
Well, and you always retain who you are. Yeah. And I feel like we're an accumulation of the input that we have and plus our personality, right? But you know, it's interesting. I'm looking at a still life of his, and are you familiar with the artist? He's long dead now, but Sergei Bongart.
Yep, very, very much so. And he was a student of Sergei's. I mean, it's very Russian, the whole thing. But his still lifes are some of the best still lifes that I've seen. I really like his still lifes.
That's what I'm looking at. This one right here. You could have fooled me into thinking that's a Sergei Bongart still life.
Yeah, I talked about rereading. I just reread his book again recently, and I love his story.
Oh yeah, that's really neat. Wow, I can imagine that there's endless encouragement and just kind of inspiration from learning from Eric. That'd be really fun.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's about freeing up.
Yeah. Well, that's what there was a Sergey Bongard book. You have his book, it sounds like, but
Yeah.
like when I flip through it, I often just laugh because I think, man, this is a small image of a very, very large painting. The painting is huge, right? It's probably 3 feet by 4 feet, and it's down in this image here, and it still looks very loose in this small condensed version. And then I just think I can't imagine how big these brushstrokes are in real life.
So when I started, right, early on, I would look at that and say, that's garbage. That's terrible. You know, there's no control here. Like who is this guy? Why would people follow him? Now I love it. I love that. That's who I want to be. And it's amazing how your preferences and your eye changes over time. But the invention, that's the game.
Yeah. I think the thing that's neat, like Carrie says, you have your own style, Brian, you're doing great, which of course, like, I think the thing that I love, Brian, about who you are is that you aren't staying where you are. You're growing, you're pursuing new things and trying to, take on a new adventure, right? And that's I think what's so great about art is, again, we've talked several times about if we get bored, you kind of die in your creative pursuit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of the lucky ones in that I got into this thing where I'm financially secure. And so I can do things that other people can't do. I can play, I can invent. I don't have to worry about sales or if anybody likes what I'm doing or not. And I mean, I greatest respect for people like yourselves or anybody who's trying to send their kids to university off of a career in art. Wow, I just so respectful of that.
You guys, I'm putting the name of the artist we were just referring to. Patricia wrote it here, Sergey Bongard.
It's a wonderful read. Really great. He came out of Russia and came over, and his story, escaping out of Russia and into Europe, and that it's just great. Yeah. You remember the painting of the two nuns? He has a painting of two nuns. I thought, what is this? This is there's nothing there, but it's wonderful. Just the simplicity to be able to be that simple and get it across. Wonderful.
Yeah, I know. There's some of that's what I feel like whenever I think of somebody who's a real master, that's what I feel like they can do. Yeah. I feel like I need to splash a lot of color around and do a lot of things to try to make a painting really fun and interesting. And I feel like sometimes I look at these artists like Sergey Bongard and I think they took something that didn't have that much going on and they made a masterpiece out of it. Carrie, I'll go find the book and I'll share the name of it with you.
I think it's downstairs. I don't have it here. I think it's just called Sergey Bongard. I think if you go to Google, you'll find it.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. It is. It's called Sergey Bongard. It's just, if you can see it right here.
Look at the power.
Yeah. It's a fun book. Well, it's interesting to know, Brian, that some of our path cross, like in some of like the people that influence us and have influenced us, and like with Robert Gann, Sergey Bongard, really fun.
Yeah.
So, you guys, just to kind of share again, Brian has a challenge for those of you who have come in recently, is a challenge called Paint Canada. And it is 52 paintings that get dripped out to you over 52 weeks. And all of them from scenes which are from his travels across Canada. This one that we're looking at right now is from Vancouver Island. And this is just one of 52. If you go back earlier in the live stream, we were looking at a different one. But if you join his challenge, you will get one painting lesson every week. It starts January 2nd, and it'll take you all the way through 2026, which is going to be an incredible journey. And you will not be disappointed. I know that we were talking earlier about it, and both of us have seen the work that people have done who are participating in the challenge right now, and they're kind of in the last couple weeks now of the challenge, because it started at the beginning of 2025 for those people. But man, there's been so much growth, and the paintings that people are doing are absolutely beautiful and stunning. And they're taking Brian's instruction. What he said at the beginning was he kind of points people in a direction and gives them a place to really be bold and courageous. And then what we're seeing is just this incredible personal, what would you say, personal, like it's like their voice is coming through, I feel like, in the artwork.
I'm so impressed by what I see as freedom. And freedom to start with what I've done and then carry it on, to reinterpret what I started with these sessions and do their own thing with it. I've really enjoyed watching other people's work on Facebook. I'm blown away by it, quite frankly. I'm very pleased and actually proud to think that maybe I have an effect on some of these folks. But that what I've seen is just, I'm so pleased.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most one of the best challenges that we have to give people two things: the freedom to just be bold and courageous and not worry about being perfectionistic, and then also because you don't carry them on to a really defined, like, small place. It allows people to say, okay, here I am. What do I want to do with this? And I feel like probably out of all of them, it gives people the best chance to really discover who they are as they can decide, do I want to be done now? What do I want to do with this painting? And
I want to make a quick comment. I want to make a quick comment. Can you see those angular brush strokes, those squares that are there, folks? So if I was carrying on with this painting, I would break them up, right? I would come in with a smaller brush and I would break them up. That's my next step with them. But often, if it's a small piece like that, I'll just leave those there. It's very abstracted, just a bang-in shape. And I like to see the brush stroke there.
So, Brian, after I know you do something with these paintings. Oh man, isn't that gorgeous, you guys? I gotta go back. I want to stop that right there. Let's take a quick look
that looks better than the final piece.
Oh, I think this looks gorgeous to me. I love this.
Anyhow, yeah, I do a lot of 12 by 12s, and I find, and I encourage people, my students, to think of these things too, and think of them as half-hour, 45-minute paintings. Quickly with a big brush. Loosen up, have fun, and with the basic principles of how do things come forward, how do things go back, how you can use perspective to enhance it and drive the viewer into it. All of those things have got to be there, but you can still be loose and playful.
So you guys, if when you're looking at this, I mean, I know that all of you are inspired because I'm inspired right now. I mean, Brian, this like for real, when I see your work here and when I hear you talk, it just makes me excited because you are growing, you're challenging us, and you're showing us a way to approach art that is refreshing because it's full of energy. And you can't look at that and not be, moved emotionally. That's what I love about this is because you took a reference photo and you made it your own. And so guys, if I know that this is the same thing with you guys, but I just want to encourage you to, if this has moved you emotionally, if this is the kind of work that you'd like to do, if you'd love to go on a great trip across Canada every week, paint a different scene, see, just how far you can go in your art and being courageous and bold. I just encourage you to go to the miniature challenge and join Brian for next year, 2026. The challenge is going to start January 2nd. And I know that you're going to have a great time with it. But Brian, do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, just a quick one. I see there's a Janet Tonello that's joined us. Janet, I've been following her right throughout this thing, and watching her development with it. But also, she put out all of the paintings together in a Facebook post. It's really interesting to see. And if you're curious about this, go to Janet Tonello, Tonello, Facebook page and look at what she's done. Like it's really impressive. It's really, there's so many examples like that, but I just happened to see Janet. I don't know Janet, though I love to meet her. And anyhow, she's just a great example of serious learning.
Oh, it's so fun. I know, guys. If by the way, I didn't mean to act like if you have a question and you want to ask either a question about for Brian in technique, or if you have a question that's specific about these classes or anything like that, feel free to ask. Okay, so it says, are these new paintings that he will be teaching? Oh, well, if you participated in his challenge last year, it's the same. It's the same Paint Canada,
same country. What you could do, put in my email, bbuckrow@gmail.com, and if they've got questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Okay, let me see if I can. Type
here. BBUCKRELL, bbuckrow@gmail.com.
Okay, looks like I did it. Okay, yeah, if you got questions.
Yeah, you got it.
I got it. Yay. Yeah, so if you got questions after and we don't get to it and you want to ask Brian, you can definitely go there. I want to make sure. I love Janet says, oh, thanks so much, Brian. I really had a blast with your teaching. Woohoo. Fun. Okay, and Brian, do you want to just share? You're taking classes from?
So I'll figure out this year what I want to do. I'm going to do a couple of plein air. I'll probably go out east and do the Parsboro plein air, and often I will attach that to a workshop. I'd love to take one of Eric Jacobson's workshop live down in Maine. We'll see what the year has. But I really I'm quite happy to take online stuff too. Zoom has been great, both for me teaching and for taking stuff. But just, I mean, it's all about the challenge of stimulation. So, yeah.
Yeah, so fun. Suzer says, it's so fun. Thank you for sharing your gifts and wisdom, Brian. And Patricia says, it is gorgeous. I agree. I like the idea of doing a series of 12 by 12 as well. Carrie says, I can feel the water splashing on the cliffs. which is super fun. Yeah, you guys. So thank you so much for joining us, you guys. It's been super fun to be here together. Brian, again, thank you for sharing your gifts with us. I know I don't want to underestimate, you know, how much it takes to do a big project like this, guys. So again, a huge thank you to you to do it, because honestly, that we've asked people to do things like this, and it's a big commitment, and some people just aren't up for it, and you were up for it. And so anyways, I want to say thanks for doing it. And it's a legacy that so many people are going to be able to learn from you, and to be able to grow, and to be able to just enjoy their own art for years and years to come, as they've, you know, kind of discovered more of who they are through your teaching.
Great challenge, but a great experience. I really appreciate you folks getting me involved with it.
So you guys, this is a great chance to participate. Make sure you sign up today for Brian's challenge. It will start in January, and you're going to have a full year of amazing, incredible weekly lessons with a master artist. You're going to journey through Canada. So you guys, thanks for joining us.
Thanks everybody for coming out. Yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks, Jeff.
We'll see you guys. Bye.
What if I told you that you could improve your fitness, boost your VO2 max, and feel amazing without exhausting yourself? Sounds like a scam, right?